What up? It's your boy, Dick Incredible Man. And yes, I am back at it again, and this is 911 Season 4, Episode 1. And you can see all the excitement and joy that it brought my face, man. Look at me. 911 is back, baby. Let's get into it. If you're new to my channel and you don't know, man, I love 911 with a passion. It's one of my favorite shows. But with the pandemic and everything, a lot of my favorite shows got pushed back, and my channel was kind of in a rut, and I was kind of flush with it and everything. I kind of slacked up a little bit, but I know a lot of other YouTubers, they kind of went back and watched a bunch of older movies and started watching a whole bunch of other new TV shows, and there really wasn't movies to allow me to react to anything, and all of my shows were, on the break because of the pandemic, so I really couldn't do much. But I am back, man. My shows are back, and we are diving full force in it, man, because 911 Season 4 is here, and in true 911 fashion, we start with a massive traumatic event, which is the dam breaking and leading to earthquakes and mudslides. It's just a whole bunch of mess. But we're also dealing with some stuff that's rolling over from last season, which is Maddie finally showing that she's pregnant. That's cool. And Athena dealing with her traumatic event as well, like from last season of her being attacked by this dude. So we're still dealing with both of those scenarios from last season, and then we got a whole slew of new stuff to deal with in this season because we're dealing with the pandemic as well. Now, this episode was nice, man. It was so good to have it back and see all of our characters again. But what I loved is that they're handling everything, with the pandemic and everything, but that didn't shift focus. I mean, because they're first responders, so like they still have to go out, and we just dove straight into it. Sure, we're dealing with everything in the pandemic, but we just dove straight into it. But what I love about this episode is that we also see, like, it broke down the timeline throughout this episode. We have three major cases this episode. We have the bus crash. We have the lady that started cycling after her husband passed away, and we have the lady that doesn't want to leave her house. So there's three huge cases, and I guess you could say the bus case kind of actually wrapped itself up kind of quick because, we get this whole little backstory. We see this kid getting on the bus. He's talking to the bus driver, and some of the people on the bus, he knows them and they know him. And we have this whole little interaction, and it's going, and it's nice. And then this one dude that gets on the bus, and he acts like a jerk. And you're like, oh, okay. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying he's a jerk just to be a jerk. I mean, like, obviously he has his reasons. I mean, he lost his job, and it's a very traumatic time for him because of the pandemic and stuff. So I get it, but like, dude, the lady told you that the kid has special needs. So like, if you could just sit somewhere else, it wouldn't be a problem. He would, he would still focus. But, he just gonna sit there. Okay. But when that bus crashed into the building, I guarantee you, he wished he would have changed seats, because like in the whole course of the crash, dude, he got injected with a shard of glass and it nicked his femoral artery. And let's be real, if it wasn't for that kid, CJ is his name, I think. If it wasn't for that kid, like, putting his belt and like tightening it and everything and doing the tourniquet thing, dude, you would have died. Let's be real, because she told you not to pull the glass out. He pulled the glass out, and next thing you know, blood spewing everywhere. And this kid came out of nowhere, and he acted fast too, man. And he was like, yeah, I'm in the wilderness scouts or something. But it was nice to see that moment. But we have everybody putting in work. But one moment that I loved is like when they're riding the elevator coming up to assist the people in the bus crash. And they're all on the elevator, and everybody's like, just listen to the music, and like, doo, 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 doo. And then they get there, and everybody gets off the elevator, and Buck and Eddie is left on the elevator, going to the roof, and he's like, at least it's not a tsunami. Dude, like, that is way too soon. I mean, I know it's been a while, but dude, it is still way too soon to talk about that tsunami, because Buck went through some stuff in that tsunami, man. So let's be real. Buck went through some stuff in that tsunami. So let's not bring up the tsunami at all. But it was a nice episode. They saved all of these people on the bus. And let's be real, thanks to CJ, that dude actually lived. And I will admit, it was nice to have him thank CJ in the end, in the long run. He was like, well, thanks, kid. And well, from now on, I definitely won't sit there anymore, I tell you that. And the lady that he was talking to with the nice pink apron on, dude, like, she stood up, like, just before they crashed, and like, she hit the pole that was in there, and it indented, like, all inside her skull and everything, and it messed her up. And Henrietta ends up talking about, like, how there's so much pressure on her brain and everything, and like her eyes gonna pop out any minute. Dude, it freaked me out. That it got real. And then I know CJ has special needs. I can't remember what he has. Is aspiria or something like that. And when he sees the blood on her pink apron, it kind of sends him into a frenzy, and he doesn't want to leave the bus anymore. Everybody else has been cleared out. They even got that one dude that was stuck under the bus. They got him out and everything. And Bobby and CJ is left on the bus, and he's freaking out a little bit, and Bobby's trying to get to him, and the next thing you know, we see an explosion. I knew Bobby wasn't dead because, you know, like, there is no show without Bobby and all of our main characters. There is no show. But in that moment, I jumped and I was a little upset for a split second because we know that in certain cases, you know, some things does happen to our main cast, like Athena being attacked, Buck getting the fire truck flipped on his ankle, and Eddie being almost trapped on the ground, and Henrietta hitting the kid, like, and even Bobby being exposed to the poison. Chimney having the rebar stuck through his, like, stuff happens to our main cast, man. Like, they get, like, our main stars, they get hurt. So I mean, I was scared for that split second when the explosion went off, but to see Bobby okay, I was like, okay, man. But we're also dealing with Chimney and Maddie kind of being secluded from each other because Chimney wants to keep her and the baby safe. So he's living with Buck at the moment during the pandemic, trying to keep her safe. But I'm loving the fact that his brother is still around helping Maddie with the baby, and they're on better terms, and they're enjoying each other. So like a lot of stuff that it wasn't unresolved, but like it seems like everything's kind of flowing better this season right off rip while dealing with this whole pandemic. And we also see that May is working at the 911 call center. I thought for sure, like after her whole conversation with her mom last season, that she would have definitely wanted to. I know she wanted to help, so I figured she would. I doubt she would have been a firefighter, but I figured she might have would have been a paramedic or maybe working in the police station, not actually an officer, but just working in the police station. But I feel like the 911 call center is a better fit for her, and she's working with Maddie, and at the same time she's helping people along the way, and I'm hoping this keeps her there. I don't want her to see it. I mean, her going to college would be a good thing, but I kind of want to keep her here and keep her focused, so maybe she just constantly works at the call center. I think that'd be a cool thing. But we also see that Athena is still dealing with everything from her attack, and she's telling everybody that she's putting on a brave face and telling everybody, oh yeah, I'm good, I'm cool, I'm fine. But deep down she's not. She's telling Bobby, well, why are you running around telling Michael all of our business and that I'm good? I'm fine, and we're just worried about you. And that's the thing, she doesn't want anybody to be worried about it. And we learned that from Henrietta, because we know that she's been on her own, and that's why she doesn't have a partner or anything like that. But she's putting up a brave face, but we actually see her in these moments throughout the entire episode where she's kind of questioning everything that's going on. Like when she appears back at work, she's a little frozen a little bit, and she's making these calls and everything, and she's back in the routine, but like she doesn't want to quite go out, but she has to when things start to escalate. I can't even talk. Escalate throughout the entire episode. But I don't like seeing Athena like this, but like as the episode goes on, we see her coming out of her shell, getting back to her normal self. I know it's going to take her time because she went through a traumatic event, but she's slowly and steady becoming back to her normal self. But we also see this episode, I love how we kind of jump throughout the timeline throughout the entire episode. We went from like 30 minutes before the dam breaks, an hour, maybe a day or two or something, 6 months and everything before everything actually takes place. And we see the lady and her husband, and he's cycling, and then that gets her into cycling, and then that's how her whole little story pans out. We see why she was on the mountain riding around in the hills, and why she was there in the water, and we see that she ends up trapped thousands and thousands of miles away from where she originally made the 911 call, and she's going through some stuff, and she gets saved, of course. But dude, this episode, like right off rip, and episode 2 is going to be a continuation of everything. But man, 911 always brings the bangers, man. 911 always definitely brings the bangers, and I love that we're dealing with. I'm glad we didn't just push off of Athena last season. I'm glad we're still dealing with that, and we see that Michael has a full-blown relationship with the doctor guy now, so that's cool. And their son is living with Michael now. But I don't ever remember that being brought up, but I think it's cool that he's living with them now. You know, May is still probably going to live with Athena because she's doing her own thing, but that's nice though. They never really talked about it, but it's nice to see that play out. But then we also have the final case of the episode before it goes off, and it's this lady. Athena has to go out and make calls because, you know, they're slammed and they need a supervisor in certain cases and stuff. And she goes out, she sees this lady, and she's not coming to the door. So Athena just beats and bangs until the lady opens the door, and we see that it's somewhat, I can't think of what you call it, but like where she can't leave her house and she's struggling and it's hard for her and she may have a panic attack or even eventually die. So she can't leave her house and she hasn't left her house in 7 years. So the whole pandemic and making her quarantine at home, like that's right up her alley. But now is the time to leave because there's a massive mudslide that's on the way and earthquakes and everything is just going to collapse all of this little area that we're living in. So you need to leave, lady. But she's having a hard time. So Athena talks to her about what she's going through, hoping it'll convince the lady to leave her house. And then we kind of understand why the lady is still there and how long she's been there and that she tries, she just can't build up the courage to do it. And we learn what Athena has been going through this entire episode, that she keeps hidden from Bobby and everybody else. But as soon as they walk out the door, the lady decides to run back in the house, and Athena turned around and ran in the house with her. Oh my gosh. And then the whole house just collapsed and fell. Like, it went off on a cliffhanger. Literally. It went off on a cliffhanger. Literally. Like, they went off the cliff. So it's weird. But we also see that May is worried about her mother because she knows that her mother is out on a call now because she's supposed to be in the office, but they got so busy and slammed. Dude, this episode was action-packed, but it still had time to showcase us some of the stuff that took place last season and deal with some of that and introduce us to our new surroundings and our new normal as it is as we're going forward right now. I'm just so happy that 911 is back. I'm just so happy that it's back. And stay tuned because I didn't do it last season, but I am also reviewing 911 Lone Star. I loved the entire first season, so I didn't do it last time, but I actually really enjoyed this show. So stick around and I'm going to review that as well. And this is your boy, Incredible, man. Don't forget to smash the like button so you can't smash any more. Comment down below and I'll be sure to respond to each and every one of them and subscribe, but only if you really want to, man. Peace out.